Spain conquered empires. But in the deserts of northern Mexico, they met warriors they couldn't even find. They hit without warning. They vanished without tracks. The Spaniards called them the Red Ghosts. History books barely mention this war, but for 50 years, Spain threw soldiers, silver, and blood into the desert, and lost almost every fight. They built forts, only to find them burned to the ground. They sent patrols, only to find their armor abandoned in the dust, their comrades gone. For half a century, the most powerful empire on Earth was bleeding out in a war against an enemy they couldn't see, an enemy who treated the barren wasteland like a fortress. This wasn't a war for glory or gold. It was a desperate struggle for survival, and the Spanish were on the losing side. The Chichimeca weren't a single tribe. They were a loose confederation, a network of nomadic peoples. The Zacatecos, Guasatils, Paines, and others, bound together by a shared home and a common enemy. They were born in the harsh, unforgiving desert, raised by hunger, and taught from birth that survival was a battlefield. They didn't build cities or farm fields. Their kingdom was the vast, open expanse of rock and sand. Every child learned to run across jagged cliffs without making a sound, to read the wind, and to find water where there was none. They weren't soldiers in an army. They were the desert itself, come to life with a bow in hand, fiercer and smarter than any conquistador could ever imagine. Their ultimate weapon was devastatingly simple: a short bow, a small arrow, and a poison so potent it could stop a charging horse in seconds. They crafted it from a wicked blend of snake venom, toxic plants, and other secret ingredients. Against this, Spanish steel armor was useless. It didn't matter if you were covered head to toe in the finest plate mail from Toledo. All it took was a tiny scratch. A single poisoned tip breaking the skin was a death sentence. Soldiers would watch in horror as a pinprick on the arm turned into a raging fever, followed by convulsions, and then a swift, agonizing end. The fear was peril. Every shadow could hold an archer, and every arrow was a promise of death. Their tactics were just as terrifying. The Chichimeca were masters of psychological warfare, true ghosts of the battlefield. They struck at dawn, during the gray twilight of dusk, and in the dead of night. They never attacked from the same place twice. They would materialize on a high ridge, unleash a volley of arrows on a silver caravan, and melt back into the landscape before the guards could even draw their swords. They ambushed patrols, destroyed supply lines, and shattered morale with tricks the Spanish had never seen. Sometimes, they wouldn't even attack. They'd just fire a single arrow into the middle of a Spanish camp at midnight, just one to make sure no soldier got any sleep. To remind them they were always being watched, always hunted. After decades of humiliating defeats, after losing countless lives and fortunes, Spain did something almost unbelievable. They offered peace. They tried to buy what they couldn't conquer. Spanish emissaries, who once marched with arrogance, now came bearing gifts, cattle, tools, food, and silver. They offered peace treaties, not because they had a change of heart, but because they had run out of options. They couldn't win. They were forced to negotiate with the very people they had dismissed as savages. On the clifftops, the Chichimeca warriors watched these offerings, their faces unreadable, knowing they had forced an empire to its knees. The Red Ghosts never built monuments of stone. Their names weren't carved into grand statues or written in the victor's history books, but they left behind something far more enduring. They left proof that an empire can crush kingdoms and topple civilizations, but it cannot break the spirit of a people who refuse to be conquered. Their legacy isn't found in ruins, but in the wind that sweeps across the empty desert. Their shadows still move through the canyons and the dust storms. And their story refuses to die. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay curious.